All right, so I got my VMware Kali machine booted up here. I've already run both the commands. I'm not sure what this is about. Uh, but first, I'm going to go through the auth command and just kind of go through some of the interesting things that I saw. And then afterwards, I'll go through the exploit command and highlight some of the things that I saw in there. So, first thing, we run the auth command. Interesting thing I found out. I had no idea my roommate went and bought a new router. He got this fancy looking RGB gaming router. I had no idea he changed it. So that was kind of cool to figure out. Um, it changes colors. Um, yeah, pretty neat. Other than that, there was some other interesting things with the authentication for the router itself. So I'm going to grab the port here. And if you look here, it says there was authentication not required on the router. Um, but we kind of came to the conclusion, my roommate and I, that this is a false positive because maybe, come on. There we go. Just because when you pull it up, it very clearly has an authentication page. And it looks like it even checks if you're a robot. That is a very difficult one. I can't even read that. Um, Maybe their authentication is overkill. Um, but nonetheless, it is there. So not sure why that was flagged. I guess it just missed somehow. The next thing on the list is my HP printer, which I have sitting right over here next to me. Um, and there actually is some issues with this one. So I tried out putting 9100 after the port number. Um, I'll get to that in a second. So let's go to the printer. If you look here, there is no authentication required. You can just get in here. Um, you can see my ink levels. I need to get some ink. Um, I could update my printer, it looks like. Uh, I know you can actually print from here too. I think if I go into maybe it's network, I'm not sure. Tools, settings, scan maybe. Huh. Um, I know last time I was on here, I was able to actually get to a menu that allowed me to print, which is obviously an issue. There needs to be some kind of user authentication. Um, Obviously, you need to be connected to the internet. So anyone that's going to screw with me would have to have access to my internet. But nonetheless, it's still not good that it's open to the public. And I mentioned that there's some ports here. I tried out putting after this, if you put colon and then the port number, if I were to hit enter here, this actually sends a request to my printer and it spit out a page. I don't know where it went. It's probably on the ground somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I put it in the garbage can. It actually did spit out a page with some information just by clicking enter on this port for whatever reason. Yeah, it has the host, connection keep alive, upgrade insecure requests. It says I was using Mozilla. I'm not using Mozilla, so I don't. Maybe my browser is built on Mozilla. Um, just some information about the page, the language I was using, and then a cookie ID. No idea what any of this means, but interesting that my printer spit it out nonetheless. So if somebody was connected to my internet and they wanted to waste all of my ink, they would be able to. So not good. Need to fix that. Let's go back and see what else we got. Okay, so that looks like that was everything for the authentication command. Next, looking at the exploit command. Let's see, again, first thing's the router. Looks like nothing came up for that. And then again, my printer. So there is a vulnerability, and I looked into this one. I have it pulled up already. I pulled up the vulnerability on Nmap, and it pertains to SQL injections, which I find interesting, just because the context in which I've heard those used was typically with databases. I'm not sure what database my printer has, and how exactly it pertains. But interesting nonetheless. I'm not necessarily worried about that, just because I'm sure there's some kind of database on my printer. It has to hold data somewhere. Uh, but I'm not worried about whatever data that is. So, not terribly worried about it. Still interesting to see. It also could be a false positive. Again, I have no idea. I don't know enough about printers. But, yep, that was pretty much everything. So, yeah, thanks for listening.